Welcome to the first Toon Zone podcast for the week of November 6th. My name is Ben Applegate, editor-in-chief of Toon Zone News in Seoul, South Korea. With us today, we have Karl Olson, our producer, in Kirkwood, Washington.
Hello.
And from Atlanta, Georgia, we have Chad Bonin, otherwise known as Knux Five, moderator on the Toonami Forum.
What up, G?
And we have Matthew Williams, an editor on the Toon Zone News, and maker of most of the beautiful splashes you see on our front page.
Yo.
Also Dr. Phil.
Also Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil represent, yo.
The big news this weekend is that Chicken Little is apparently not the unmitigated disaster that everyone thought, /denied, /secretly hoped it was going to be. So I imagine there are probably it's getting pretty hot in Emeryville maybe this weekend as Pixar people, who are still without a distributor after their deal runs out after Cars, are watching this film maybe and seeing that Disney might not need them after all after Cars wraps. So
I think Pixar can still do good stuff. They just gotta find someone else. I'm sure Time Warner might want to hook up with them somehow.
I don't know. I think it's looking really bad for them, actually. If you look at the studios that would want to distribute them, all of them either would not be interested or have their own CG studios in-house that they wouldn't want to compete with.
Or they're just bad studios. I mean, I wouldn't want to see Pixar with Time Warner at all because they seem to be really bad about promoting any animated film, but it seems to be even worse when it's not something that's like Time Warner, like Warner Brothers itself. I mean, it'd be like Powerpuff Girls, the movie all over again. They'd get like split showings with like Mama's Big Fat House or something like that. It would never.
Well, I don't think it'd be that bad because it is Pixar.
Yeah, they'd probably get a bit more respect.
Yeah, I think the onus is actually still on Disney here. I mean, Chicken Little is still not a big like a moderate box office hit, I'd say. It's like generally above like Wallace and Gromit, I'd say, but it's still way below the big blockbusters like The Incredibles or Finding Nemo.
Well, the test for these films always comes in the next few weeks when when you really see if they can keep up the steam or if they just sort of die.
Right. Because it could have a great opening weekend and then just disappear in like 2 weeks because, you know, there could be a lot of people being like, well, it's a Disney film, we should give it a shot because, you know, there's a lot of it where I'm sure there's a lot of parents who are like curious
Disney
to see how it worked out.
I'm also sure there's a lot of parents out there.
The onus has probably still been on Cars since that disastrous first trailer. I mean,
oh man, that thing was awful.
I think that like a lot more rides at stake on Cars than it really did on Chicken Little, to be honest.
I agree.
Mentally blocked at the Cars trailer. I can't even remember the thing.
It's just these two cars and they're like hard bang and whatever. And
yeah. Oh, I remember seeing it. It was nothing memorable at all.
I think
well, isn't it the first directorial outing for John Lasseter since Toy Story 2, or did he do something else after that?
I think it might be the first, yeah.
So maybe he's lost his touch, we don't know.
Well, maybe just the trailer was, because like, I've been hearing mixed things about it, like there are some rumblings that Cars might not be an unmitigated disaster. And I think
I'm sure it's going to be totally different from the trailer.
An Emmy Award-winning film. So.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's impossible for it to be an Emmy Award-winning film because I don't think there's ever been one of those.
Oh yeah, Emmys versus Oscars, dude. Oops.
Oh well.
You think I watch those things?
Well, I don't blame you for not watching them, frankly.
All right. I don't think anyone really would.
Okay, the other big news this week is that there's live-action quote-unquote cartoons on Cartoon Network now. The last one aired last Sunday, so CN has announced they're going to start airing live-action films as an experiment to expand their ratings, hopefully. Or at least that's what they're hoping. And we have the list of the first wave of films, at least. This Sunday the first one aired, and it was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, so...
Woo! I'm not sure what it is. It's just more of a cheer. Like I can totally get behind Roger Rabbit. That's a classic film.
Roger Rabbit
probably deserved to be on Cartoon Network since they really started airing movies in 1995.
The interesting thing
you can't argue with that choice.
The interesting thing, that's going to be the first Disney characters on Cartoon Network in a long time.
And ever?
Or is this the first time at all?
Ever.
At all, really.
Okay, the next one
we'll edit them all out.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be
half the cast is gone. Bugs Bunny's talking to nobody.
When Dumbo comes up next to the window, it's just
a window.
5 seconds of blank space, and then you move on to the next scene.
No, they edit in the Batman.
Right. It's just the Batman
there.
There's small soldiers coming up too. Just kind of a bad movie. Yeah.
That's really like I can be like, okay, so there's a lot of CG in it. It doesn't make it a good film. It doesn't make it something I necessarily want on the network. I can just feel like, okay, it's kind of a cartoon, but it still sucks.
Didn't that dated?
Like it fits better in. It fits pretty good in with the ethos, but it's still not a good film. And it's the tilt is probably a little more towards live action than Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Right.
It's definitely closer than the other two.
Oh, yeah.
It's not as good as
You mean the other
Rabbit.
three?
Yeah.
Wait, what's the other one?
Batman.
Oh, that's right.
That's been officially announced or leaked or whatever, so it's fair game. It's on the Toonami board.
I think it's scheduled for 2 weeks from now.
I think it's horrible. I honestly don't... Well, I don't like the first 4 Batman films that much to begin with. But
The first 4?
I honestly think that Batman... Yes, it looks cartoony, but it's very different than a lot of the stuff on Cartoon Network or Toonami is as a whole. It'll feel like a PBS movie airing on Cartoon Network.
But at least it has a similar atmosphere as the Batman cartoon. I mean, the other two we have, which are The Goonies and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, just kind of have nothing to do with anything, really.
Right. Well, I mean, there's that justification The Goonies is supposed to be something that, like, the animators
The Goonies
loved.
is probably, like, the worst movie that they could choose to air. It's like, I mean, I like the movie, but if they wanted to extend the brand, that's like the least cartoony. I don't care.
There's other, much better hybrid films they could have aired. I mean, take Tron, for instance.
Tron would have been cool.
Kick-ass if they aired it. Tron
would have been awesome.
Tron is awesome. Tron would have been awesome.
Tron's Disney, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
so is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Apparently they're umbrella films that Turner already has the rights to.
Right.
Okay.
Which, well, now that I think about it, doesn't Tron air on, like, the Turner networks all the time?
I've never seen it on one.
I know I saw it, but that was a couple years back, so I don't know if they still got the rights.
Right.
It might be under Disney's, like, under their wings since they did that 20th DVD and all.
Well, the other thing is as of, like, last, like, week, they were still running, like, the Goonies and stuff on, like, ABC Family, so it's literally, like, the rights are letting up there, and they're immediately trying to, like, push it somewhere else. And I'm like, but what's
Well, maybe the rights aren't exclusive.
True.
Don't you see Full House on Nick at Night and ABC Family simultaneously?
Yeah, like 500 different networks air Full House.
Yeah. Airing Full House.
500
channels and only one program on.
Yeah.
Alright, let's move on to something a little bit more uplifting. The Ghibli movies are coming to Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah.
Good deal, wrong network.
Well, I think it's the right network,
I'll tell you why. They're classic movies, but they're not classic movies. I mean, I don't know if Turner Classic Movies should have any business showing anything after 1975.
I think they're good airing modern classics. I mean, I see Office Space on there, and everyone loves Office Space.
Office Space is on TCM?
Yeah.
Oh my, no. No, that doesn't, okay, TCM's getting off image too then.
Okay, I see what you're saying about the whole TCM image thing, but I think it's good for the Ghibli movies.
Oh yeah, it's good. No, the films need it.
Because it's a whole new audience that they deserve to be seen by, I think. I mean,
I've never seen
it,
they're going to be on TCM. I'll watch.
You're probably thinking of AMC, because I think
I may be thinking of AMC, but
yeah,
the same
AMC
network.
Turner Classic Movies is still pretty much on image. They're trying to get a little more recent, but they're still trying to stay with classic, well-known, whereas AMC is airing whatever crap they can get their hands on.
Okay, we have also the new Ghibli feature is going to be announced on December 13th. They're announcing what it's based on, so apparently it's going to be another adaptation like Howl's Moving Castle was. They haven't said who the director is going to be. We know in the past that they said there are 3 projects in pre-production at Ghibli, one directed by Miyazaki Hayao, one directed by Takahata, who directed Grave of the Fireflies and Pompoko and My Neighbors the Yamadas. And they said another one was just sort of based on some Western property, but they didn't say who was developing that one. So on December 13th is the big day, and we're going to find out what the next film is going to be based on. So I'm really excited about it. I'm really rooting for Takahata because I haven't seen anything new from him in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I love his films. Mm-hmm. I think his last film was Yamadas, came out in 1999, I believe. So.
Whoa, 6-year gap.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
He's got some time to be working on some stuff.
Well, Ghibli's been awfully busy, though. I mean, you, of course, had the two Miyazaki films there. You had Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle. Plus, they worked with Production IG on Ghost in the Shell, too, and apparently IGPX, because I saw their names in the credits. I'm all like, what? Whole big Studio Ghibli, and then there's like a huge list of, I guess, keyframe animators, so...
Apparently IGPX is like the cream of the crop for animation.
Yeah, apparently like it's like anime all-stars here. The only way you could have been more huge is if you'd gotten some the guy who directed Cowboy Bebop rather than the guy who directed Outlaw Star on it. And
the other thing that they're doing is they're having 3 new films to be screened at the museum in January, so that's another thing they're working on that would keep them really busy.
Yeah.
I mean, I can definitely see that. And I know that they've said in the past that they're never going to do 2 films at the same time again, after they did Totoro and Grave of the Fireflies at the same time. So I'm sure that's just one that's going to be picked out of these 3 to be produced.
Mm.
So it should be interesting. I still can't wrap my mind around the fact that Totoro and Grave of the Fireflies ran as a double feature.
I really hope that they almost ran Grave of the Fireflies first, so you have something to sort of bring you up afterwards. Because think about, you go in Totoro and it's like you recapture your childhood, and then you come back, and then and now for Grave of the Fireflies, and you just want to die after that.
Right.
It's like 80 times worse because of you just saw them.
Kicked in the crotch in the same day.
No, it's like
resurrect your inner child and then destroy your inner child.
Exactly. You want to do it the other way around, I think.
Right.
The other big anime news is that Mamoru Oshii, director of Ghost in the Shell Innocence most recently, is making a new animated film, even though he always says he hates animation and he's never going to do it again. And this one is apparently going to be a love story.
The most existentialist love story ever.
Well, he says it's going to be straightforward, but of course I don't know
sure
how much to trust that. Yeah.
What is his definition of straightforward?
Exactly.
Yeah, that would... Straightforward would probably be what most of us considered screwed up.
Yeah.
Or mildly.
I thought Innocence could have been pretty straightforward if he just had the characters shut up for 2 seconds.
But that's like his thing. He loves huge rants that are basically cribbed from dead European authors.
Yeah, it's just I thought the movie didn't need it at all, and I think really someone needs to go back and give it a Blade Runner treatment and just slice out most of the dialogue and just let the atmosphere soak in. That's one of the films that I really suggest even people who don't know Japanese, watch it once with subtitles and then watch it again with the subtitles off, just so that you can watch the movie.
Aren't they doing?
Doesn't matter if you understand it or not.
Doing what?
Aren't they doing a dub of Innocence now?
Yeah, in the UK. It's not going to be a US thing. Though, I put it this way, just because it's supposed to be a UK-only dub, considering the way that Cartoon Network got Batman Beyond, it wouldn't surprise me if they somehow use that as a way of use the UK to wrangle a dub of Innocence or something screwy like that.
That would be pretty sweet.
How'd they get Batman Beyond?
Oh, well, it's all like the Batman Beyond movie, they went through their UK division, so that's why it said Batman of the Future on it.
Okay, I thought you were talking about this.
No. Batman of the Future.
Oh,
really?
Batman of the Future.
Right.
Because apparently Beyond's a bad word in England.
No, if somebody else had already had copyrighted it somehow. There was
weird.
Yeah.
21st Century Fox.
It's not as bad as Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Hero Turtles.
Oh my god.
Hero Turtles. Alright, interesting little piece of meta news for the first podcast. Channel Frederator, this new podcast from Frederator Studios, is online at www.channelfrederator.com. That's frederator.com. And they have 2 episodes up, and it's an anthology show of submissions from different animation studios. And it's just fantastic. I've seen the second episode. I haven't gone back and seen the first one yet, but the second episode starts out with this amazing film by Joel Trussell called War Photographer. And it's these two Viking ships that fight each other using the powers of rock and roll. And, oh man, it's done in sort of a Samurai Jack style. Just incredible. There's also a computer animated film that has Bill Cosby getting the Ring of Power.
They better be careful about that because there was already a set of animated shorts that got sued for using Bill Cosby's name.
Really?
And like,
well, no, they don't. It's not his name though. They spelled it Cosbee.
Oh, well.
I don't know how that's going to matter, but yeah.
Does it look like Bill Cosby?
Yeah, of course.
That's problem enough.
Is he talking about Jello?
Oh.
Hopefully no one will see it.
But,
who matters?
Like, from the descriptions, these sound genius.
Yeah. This sounds really fresh, and it's kind of, I think, what Federators come to be in the current industry is they're the new vanguard. They've taken up where sort of Cartoon Network began to drop off a few years ago and just frickin' run with it because they've got not only this project, but they've got the Nicktoons film festival thing. They've got a whole new Oh Yeah Cartoons project, and they're allowing the fans to be participant in it because they're asking for people to submit a name or name ideas for the show, and they'll pick the best idea, and that person will not only get their name in the credits of the show, they'll get $500 too. So
sweet.
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
they really care about people who care about animation, and that's, they're like it for that at the moment, it feels like sometimes, at least in the States.
Watching this week, I obviously just watched the Frederator podcast and not much else because I'm out here in the universe of South Korea. But Karl, what did you see this last week?
I've been watching Paradise Kiss, which in some ways is, I think, one of the better things I've seen out of this season. I watched the first episode of Noein before realizing that it's not Media Blasters.
But Media Factory, that was Media Factory.
Media Factory. But it is, I gotta say, Media Factory's got one that they're gonna have a hard time licensing to the States and Noein, and that's a really just sort of outstanding looking and outstandingly put together show. I mean, it's hard to phrase why it works. It does a lot of things that seem really strange. The character design is a little weird at points, but damn, it's just a cool show.
Alright, so what is this about now?
I don't even fully know yet. You're just sort of thrown into it. It's kind of a throwback to some of that stuff that was in the early, sort of like late 90s, early 00s, where you had like those Serial Experiments Lane, kind of stuff where you're just kind of thrown right into the middle of it and you've got to sort of find your way there. It's evocative of that kind of stuff where you're not getting, you'll get the pieces when you need the pieces, for it to go on. There's like this girl, and I think there's some sort of supernatural force or super technological force. I mean, because
as there always should be
after her, and her friends are, you got one who's like this total ghost nut geek girl, and you got this other one who's like, you're full of crap, and you got this boy who's all like, yeah, you're totally fronting too, but he's actually totally afraid of like anything paranormal. And of course they're thrown into this incredibly insane situation where you've got, time stopping and, Matrix-like, oh my god, it's really hard to describe, but it's a neat show. I also watched Ultramaniac, obviously, this week, because I did the review for that, and, a little weird because I had to skip a volume on it, but in the sense it's so by the book, it should be annoying, but because it's not one of these magical girl shows, it's actually targeted at like 20-year-old lonely guys in Japan. It's actually an enjoyable show. It's not like, service driven, or at least has that sort of double marketing aspect like a lot of shows do these days.
Hey, fan service is good.
Not when it's like with like 11-year-olds, yo.
Oh, I forgot about that.
This is Chad we're talking about.
This is cue for 19-year-old Shinobu.
I think definitely it is.
You're not going to get out of me.
All right.
Fight for that.
Well, all right, Chad,
podcast.
Tell us what you've been watching, Chad.
I've been trying to watch stuff on my iPod, but it hasn't been working out.
Oh, that's right. You got a video iPod, right?
Yep, just got one, and I got some of these CPMs.
Everyone be very jealous of Knux right now.
Yeah. Darn you!
And I saved 19% on it too. Y'all are gonna hate me.
Ooh,
student
so
discount.
that's what, $1,000?
No, Target discount plus Target
Target discount.
Target, I'm sorry.
So how does video look on the iPod?
It's good. The compression's a little bad, but that's probably just CPM not knowing what to do.
Oh, you watched the CPM trailers and stuff?
Yeah, the CPM stuff. I'm waiting for Tyler to get his TDA to go figured out.
That would be sweet.
And as I speak right now, Hoof and Garage Rabbit just started on Cartoon Network.
Oh, sweet.
That's right.
There
It
you
is
go.
4 o'clock on the West Coast, which means it's 7 on the
It's
East.
7 o'clock here. Touchstone Pictures presents.
All right, Matthew, what do you got?
Well, tonight, as we're recording this, Boondocks premieres.
Oh, that's
Actually,
right.
I'm hoping to make it a full night of animation. I might watch the premieres of or the re-premiere since baseball just ended of all the animated shows on that box. Boondocks, I got a chance to check out the preview, and it looks... I don't know if it necessarily appeals to me because it's so urban and cultural gap. And I'm like,
Shizzle.
Oh my
and I'm
God.
like, Whitey McWhite. But it looks interesting. The animation is really good. I mean, how the hell did Adult Swim afford that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they're like splitting the tab with Sony. That's how they
Okay,
afforded
that's
it.
probably why. And Sony animation, like Sony series, have actually turned out generally pretty good, at least animation-wise. I mean, Big Guy and Rusty was awesome, and so was the Godzilla series. And most of the stuff they put out is actually pretty good.
No, I mean, yeah, I think Boondocks could get good as it goes along. I mean, I wasn't too impressed by the first couple of episodes, but I'm sure that's
But
just sort of
at least you get the
pilot
sense
miasma,
that
you know.
there's promise.
Right.
I honestly think Boondocks was a little too predictable. One of the things while watching it, Riley's his name, has a gun out.
Honestly, at this
In
point,
my mind,
I think
say hello to my little
predictable.
friend. He says
I
that.
think, yeah, I think
what did you say?
predictable and safe is probably what Cartoon Network or Adult Swim needs at this point.
Really?
He does the
Because
Scarface,
their
say hello to my
originals
little
have
friend.
just gotten so esoteric lately.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like with
Because
12
I
Inch
am an eyeball. And
Well, esoteric is one word. Incredibly stupid would be
see
another word. I mean,
everything.
God.
I guess that can be the same thing if your audience is made up of particularly stupid people, but
College students
Okay.
smoke pot.
Now, I have a
Adult
question
Swim.
for all of you guys.
okay.
This is gonna, I'm a fan of little animation, but do you guys have or go to AMC theaters?
Yeah, there was the big one in my hometown in Burbank.
I think there's one in
I think there's an
area,
AMC.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not even sure.
Okay. Because before every film, they show a turn off your cell phone trailer,
Right.
which is basically a parody of a regular movie trailer. And then towards the end, you hear the cell phone ringtone, and someone's like, "It's coming from the audience," and the trailer just completely falls apart.
Uh-huh.
I have not seen that one. I have seen the Native Americans tracking the buffalo and the cell phone goes off.
Yeah, they just changed it a couple weeks ago. Now it's animated, and it's like,
Really?
yeah, it's like a pitch perfect parody of a Lion King type film.
Oh God.
with eagles, and it makes no sense whatsoever, but it's hilarious.
I think
It
I
probably
may
did,
have
yeah.
seen that. Maybe for
Yeah,
Batman
it's-
Begins.
I don't even know what the plot is, but it's just great.
The plot, turn off your cell phone.
Yeah, just turn off your
Story synopsis, why you should turn off your
And
cell
the,
phone.
and the sad thing is, it's probably the best hand-drawn 2D animation we're gonna get all year.
Reviewed
Well, at least
5
on
stars.
theater
Wins
screens,
the
yeah.
internet.
Yeah, it's like I think the only 2D I can think of coming to theaters is the Curious George movie, and that thing's
Oh,
been,
yeah, I was surprised to see that, yeah.
that's been in the
That's
development.
2D?
Yeah, it's 2D, I think.
I thought
No,
Will
it definitely
Ferrell
is. I
was
saw
gonna
the,
Yeah,
be
it's
in Yellow
2D.
I saw the
I
trailer.
saw a preview when I saw Wallace and Gromit.
My worry is that thing has been in development for so long that by the time
Yes.
that actually hits, it's just
Like
been totally
every-
committed to death. 'Cause
Well,
that's the big problem with a lot of this stuff currently is it's just so there's very few studios where it's not like you've got like 6 directors working on it and like 20 different writers and there's no personal touches. It's like Pixar and Frederator are like the only ones where you really
And
have
maybe Aardman.
well, Aardman and I'd suppose a.k.a. up in Canada also is very geared around the personal touch rather than like 20 dudes trying to make one 7-minute short. You know?
Although the Madagascar short they showed before Wallace and Gromit wasn't too bad. I actually like that.
They probably only had
But I
one
didn't
person
see
directing it for
Madagascar.
once. You did.
Yeah. Wallace and Gromit was really good, though.
Oh man, that was a fantastic movie.
Surprising amount of innuendo for a G-rated movie, but
I love the melons.
I love the may contain nuts joke at the end.
Oh, that was excellent. No, that was a fantastic movie. I had to go see it again. There's so many little things in it, like the Red Baron reference and the just stuff that I'm sure totally nobody in the States or even in Britain would very much get, like when he was playing Bright Eyes. When he was waiting, when the rabbit had disappeared and Gromit was in the car and he turned on the radio and it was Bright Eyes, that the song from the Watership Down movie.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Just so many little things like that. I mean, I just adore that movie.
Well, and there's kind of, I think, I wish DreamWorks would emulate that with, they take a look at Aardman, which they've got the production rights to, and say, we should let more of our movies be like this, which is be one person's creative vision rather than like 4 or 5 different directors, which is what they've had on Madagascar and such. And
well, in a sense, it is one person's creative vision.
That's what I'm saying.
It's Jeffrey Katzenberg's creative vision.
True.
So,
well, but you can't have it both ways, Carl. I mean,
you're right.
The Shrek movie had a lot of a very similar feel to the Wallace and Gromit movie, even if it might not have had the charm of claymation. It had all the plussing, quote unquote, throughout it. Both movies had that, and both movies were really driven by one guy, even though
one guy's creative side
has left now.
Right. Well, the thing is, and that's where I think where it comes in more into play is when you've got stuff like Shrek 2 or Madagascar, where they really are multiple director films. They aren't one guy working on it. There's 4 guys. They're not even all in Burbank. You've got some out in Southeast Asia. You've got some in Burbank. You've got. I mean, the only real singular vision you've got behind it is Jeffrey Katzenberg, and he's not a animation guy by trade. He's a management guy, which is...
I don't know. I think he's been involved in animation so long that we can officially call him an animation guy.
Well, put it this way, when he was running Disney, it was putting out hits, so at least, it's got that backing him. I mean, he guided it through one of its more successful periods.
My dad is actually in London, and he says that over the course of the production of Wallace and Gromit, Katzenberg visited London about once every 2 weeks or once a week or something like that. And every time he came to visit, the press would always say, "Oh, here comes Katzenberg, weird old Katzenberg, asking all the questions of these guys and blah blah blah, breathing down their necks." And my dad was just like, "This is so silly because I mean, if you were investing, whatever, did it take 7 years to make that movie, 5 years to make that movie?"
Like that. So there's an incredible amount of time and money put into it. And I think that's part of the reason why animation ends up by committee a lot more often is because there's much more time investment, so people get a lot more worried about their money being tied up and I can see why, because even you can have a completely creator-controlled production and it's still just terrible.
Or it just flies off on the schedule side and becomes a bloated, hugely expensive.
Right.
Although when you think about that might be the reason why Cartoon Network is all of a sudden so high on this live-action thing. Because, I mean, if they are looking to do live-action pilots, and they are, with Solid and Mole People for Adult Swim.
Right. And I can see, whereas Adult Swim, it's a little weird for the live-action to fit there. For something like Tickle You, live-action is such a natural addition because it's a preschool block, and there's a large tradition of, live-action preschool programming, and it's cheap to make.
Exactly.
And with live-action, it takes quicker, and you know what you're getting right away.
Right. There's no guesswork in it.
Tickle You could probably have a good basis for a live-action cartoon. I mean, mixing the two, like Blue's Clues or something. That seems right up their alley.
Well, shoot, Blue's Clues these days is just a puppet show. It's not even, there's no animated element in it at all.
Really?
Yeah.
They got rid of the animated Blue and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's just like a puppet show. There isn't even, the guy isn't even there. They don't have a guy who's hanging out with Blue. Blue talks, and it's like Sesame Street, but with less class.
Yikes. Oh, well.
Wow.
Have you guys seen Corpse Bride, by the way, the other big stop-motion film now?
I actually enjoyed it, but I don't think I enjoyed it as much as Wallace and Gromit.
I thought it was interesting to see. No, I agree with you. It didn't have the same pizzazz as Wallace and Gromit, but
Corpse Bride really didn't have the same energy as Nightmare Before Christmas had, I don't think.
Well, I think that's because it was directed by Tim Burton himself and not by Henry Selick. I mean, Tim Burton likes to do a lot of the more pensive scenes and that sort of thing.
He's a lot darker as a director, I think. Yeah. Although, I don't know. I'm not as big into Tim Burton as a lot of the people I know. I mean, most of the people would say he's more esoteric movies, and my favorite movie from it is probably his most mainstream one, which is Ed
Which one?
Wood.
I would say
Oh,
Batman's
Ed Wood.
a
Oh,
little
yeah.
more mainstream.
You think that's his most mainstream movie?
I'd have Batman.
Actually,
hands down.
I kind of think it seems. Well, maybe if it's not his most mainstream, but it's generally his lightest. You have to say it's his lightest film.
Okay. Right.
It's
It's
like,
not as weird as Tim Burton gets.
yeah, it's not as weird as say Batman. Like
Or
Batman.
Pee-wee's
was
Big
pretty-
Adventure, right?
Oh.
Great movie. Don't you go dissing that movie?
I wasn't gonna go diss that movie, just sort of like the concept of it being like as dark as and
Pee-wee's Big
dun dun dun.
Coming to a theater near you.
That concludes the first episode of the Toon Zone podcast. Be sure to keep checking out our website, www.toonzone.net, for more great news and reviews. This week, an op-ed piece by our co-founder, Eileen, better known as Harley on the forums, about the live-action on Cartoon Network decision. Also, we're running a contest. We're giving away 5 copies of the complete series of Zelda, the DVD set. So enter to win that. Join us next week on the Toon Zone podcast. I leave you now with a German man singing Britney Spears.
That is just so typically me, baby. Oops, I did it again. I played with your heart, got lost in the game. Oh, baby, oops, you think I'm in love, but I'm sent from above. I'm not that innocent.